Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. It's the finals today, and there are new counters that I have not used that I've been wanting to use or planning to use, and some that I was not planning to use, so that to look forward to, certainly. But first, I want to draw your attention to the picture on the right-hand side. It's a logo for this channel, and I've been trying to get a little bit better production value for this channel, and I have no skill with art whatsoever, so I had to commission it. But I have other plans for that logo as well, and this is just the first step. It's not always going to only be on the front screen. I'll tell you guys more as it comes, but it's exciting times, and this is only possible because of my patrons. I really appreciate the support, guys. I do not have the resources to just go out and purchase random artwork, and so being able to reinvest it into this channel is such a dream. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Alright, so we are in the finals, as I said before, against a dude named Darthinzer. There's not a space there, so I assume it's Darthinzer. You have to say it fast. He's a Kyber combatant, apparently. I didn't check what his last Kyber rank was. I'm sure it was high. He was practicing his Commander Luke counter for General Skywalker the whole time that I was looking at his profile, so that was scary. Looking at his stats, it looks like I actually have an advantage in the highest level of relics, though I think overall he probably does have a few more high-end relics than I do. Looking at the Zetas, I have more, but it's not by a huge significant margin. Gear 13, I have a little bit more. Our mods are extremely close to even. On the lower end, I do have some faster ones once you get towards the top, but again, not a huge difference. And looking at our respective lifetime banners, my opponent is no slouch. He was already over 200k. And even though that line continues to move, that is a very respectable score at this stage. So looking at their defenses, I had expected, their Grand Arena history said that they placed Padme all the time, and they didn't have Padme in the front. They had this random hodgepodge of squads that were going to probably going to be easy to take out, mostly Gear 12. And then they put Darth Revan here without Bastila and General Grievous, and that is kind of a problem because I've gone, once again, full retard defense. I put my Padme on defense this time and kept Darth Revan so that my Darth Revan could counter his Padme easily. And now I'm forced to make a decision here. There's a General Grievous squad that I want to counter using Bastila, and there's a Darth Revan squad that I want to counter using Bastila. And in the end, I decided I've won with this comp before. Instead of having Bastila, I take Thrawn with Emperor Palpatine and the trio. And against a General Grievous squad, it's kind of different though. It doesn't have Watt in it. And so I gave a lot of thought to how this matchup needed to go. I passed turn meter to Treya right away. She put Isolate onto Magna Guard because that's kind of what you need to do. And now the question was, like, what do we do with Thrawn? I decided to tie up General Grievous as long as I could. Try to get Force Drain off, and it worked. Droideka already took a turn, unfortunately, so he's not being impacted by any of this stuff. None of my debuffs are really sticking. Like, I didn't stun anyone there. With Palpatine, which is a really frustrating event, I mean, he has really high potency, and just nothing happened. So, anyways, I'm just moving along with it. We're doing the best that we can. And really what I want to do is get Droideka to not take a huge number of shots at me and kill one of my characters. And especially not at Nihilus, because if Nihilus dies, which you'd see he just did, that was such an awful thing. So you need Nihilus to win this match. You just do. And here's the point where if he hadn't killed Nihilus, I could pass turn meter to Nihilus, and I could kill Grievous, and then I could chip away at this defense and get the win. Of course, anyone else being targeted for that mass attack from Droideka was going to be better than Nihilus. Nihilus was the win condition. You can't win without annihilating Grievous with this squad, unless you get insanely lucky or something. And so immediately my objective in this scenario switched. Now I just need to take out as much as I can in this initial fight so that my next fight, my cleanup fight, will be okay, that it'll actually be attainable. So I decided, like, the two that, besides Grievous, the two that were going to be the biggest pains for oncoming squads to face was B1 and B2, a couple of Bs. And we just, if I could take them out, that was going to make my life a lot easier. So managed to kill B1, and then the hope was that maybe I'd be able to kill B2 as well. Droideka killed Scion again, but I had the whatever his ability is to revive himself. It came up again, and so yeah, just trying to end this on a somewhat positive note. I guess you'd call it a Pyrrhic victory. And yeah, so you can see here I put it on airplane mode at one point, and I cut that part out of the video. Hope you guys don't mind. It's a really exciting part. Anyways, I was able to actually keep this attack, killing both B1 and B2. That obviously not the ideal situation. I wish that I had just been able to kill one-shot that team. This was not ideal, but that's just how it goes, and it's a squad that I can actually take out with a lesser squad now. So now we have the mirror match between Darth Revan, and there's no Bastila here. My Darth Revan's faster, so you put shock up. As long as it sticks on Sith Trooper, you use shock from Bastila here, and that's great. I did that. And you throw HK's grenade, kills everyone. It's wonderful. That's the best way to do it if your Darth Revan is faster. And so that's what I did. And I did get the win there. I dropped a few banners, but that's going to happen. Unless you're universally faster than your opponent's team. So, anyways. Back to the matter at hand. I needed to clear this Grievous squad. I need to see what's in the back there. I decided to go for my First Order squad without using Watt. I wasn't sure. I wasn't expecting at all for there to be Padme in the back, despite my scouting. And so that being said, I also wasn't sure that there wasn't Padme. So I decided not to take Watt here, even though he's kind of my comfort zone with this squad at this point. And, we're just trying to finish everyone off. First Order Stormtrooper is great. He's way more resilient than Watt is, in fact. He's Relic 5. He is a crazy, tough as nails tank. So, he's actually probably better than Watt would have been. Watt might have just gotten destroyed with the first AoE from Grievous, and we've taken at least 2 at this point. So now we're just trying to do as much damage to him before he can heal up as we can. And, we're also trying to heal up our own guys, trying to get buffs on everyone so that we can regenerate health and protection. Of course, he's below protection, so none of the debuffs are sticking. But, First Order Executioner does a lot of damage. And, we have so much turn meter gain and so much turn meter manipulation that Grievous doesn't really get a chance to go here. It seems maybe like a little bit of overkill here, but I needed to make sure that I could finish this squad in one hit, and First Order aren't a meta team anyways. I had plenty of teams that could deal with that top zone, and so I did manage to take out Grievous in the back. Of course, as you probably understand from all my telegraphing, there is Padme in the back, there are Jawas in the back, and the Jawas were a little confusing, but they are great banner stealers if you don't know what you're getting into when you face that squad. So a lot of things. And then my opponent, I actually had to go into work that day. It was a Sunday, and I went into work. My opponent attacked while I was in there, just took out the first 2 squads, and dropped 11 banners. So go figure. Decided to wait for me, I suppose. Just trade zone for zone. But he didn't offer any extra information to me, so not really that fair, but I'm not mad at him or anything. So decided to take Imperial troopers here against this Nute team. And, Dooku presents a big threat to stun. Whenever you do your AoE, I needed to use an AoE to take out that pre-taunt from Baze. Once that happened, I was able to just target Nute, and once you kill Nute, then it gives everyone enough turn meter to keep the cycle going. And now we're just trying to focus Dooku down. He's only gear 12, he's easy to kill, and that's what we did. Unfortunately, Jango is just hanging out there. All my shots are missing because even though he has stagger, apparently we just can't affect him with normal shots. I need to look at his kit again. Apparently there's something I don't understand, but one way or another, plenty of other things to kill at this point, so targeted Baze off, and now Xaereth Rebel Pathfinder poses no real threat here, and so now we're just waiting for Jango to actually be vulnerable again. He has a couple turns of invulnerability, so I was hoping that I could actually stun him here, but that didn't happen. I did manage to daze, and then I got Terminate off. Once you finish someone off with Terminate, they can't be revived, so Jango lost his life, and I gained 60 banners, so wonderful trade for me. Now we need to tackle these other two squads with the minimum level of investment possible. We need to be cognizant of what's in the bottom zone. There's a Jawa squad that is, contrary to popular belief, it is incredibly difficult to take out unless you approach it the right way, in which case it becomes easy. You have to be able to snipe out the scavenger, the Jawa scavenger, right away, or if the rest of your squad starts attacking other Jawas, then you're finished. Or if you do an AoE, you're finished. You have to be able to take him out. So, and then of course I had Padme, which I had secret plans for. So I had Commander Luke left, which is great. I had Jedi Training Rey, and that's basically it. And that doesn't leave me a whole lot of options. I don't really have any characters that can one-shot Jawa other than the Commander Luke team, or maybe some of the Resistance, but I needed Resistance to work together, so I kind of came up with a plan, and I'll let you guys just see what I came up with. So the question was, what squad was I going to use my Jedi Training Rey team on? I needed to max out all of my banners if possible. My opponent had a pretty commanding lead because he hadn't failed any attacks, and I had failed, not only had I failed one, I'd also dropped 8 banners in that top zone on top of that. So dropped 28, he's only dropped 11, pretty big, for those of you who like math, pretty big gap. So even for those of you who don't like math, that's a big gap. And decided to take my Jedi Training Rey here as a full 5-man squad against this timeout team. This team has no actual threat to any of my health. Maybe Vander Chewbacca, if he got lucky, could one-shot my 4-star Finn, but otherwise, this is a great squad to take out with Jedi Training Rey because they have a lot of different things going for them, including 2 different forms of revive in Vander Chewbacca passively and in Captain Han, so those were the 2 I took out. And then there's 3 different taunters in the form of L3, who is really good at what she does, Stormtrooper Han, who is sometimes good at what he does, and then Clone War Chewbacca is the one that everyone is fascinated with and wants to take as their lead, and I get that it can be effective, but it's confusing to me. So really, what we're doing here is we're just trying to stun everyone, trying to keep everyone blocked. We don't want anyone to actually taunt. We would prefer that no one actually gets to shoot or anything. We are also avoiding doing anything with L3 other than scooting her turn meter back with Jedi Training Rey's mind trick thing. And that's just because these are all scoundrels, and the second you hit L3, you dispel all debuffs on some other scoundrel, including maybe L3. So you want to avoid messing with her, but it's pretty quick and easy 60 banners. Young Finn is becoming an immediate hit with me. Love his kit, love the things he does. So running double Finn with that squad is fun. So now we come to the part where I truly had to stretch and think of how we could beat Jawas and how we can beat this Karth team with Wampa. Now, the Karth team wasn't very well modded, and actually when I talked to my opponent, he admitted as such as well. And so I don't know, I decided to go in without Han here. So Commander Luke and Chewie, I needed Luke to keep his guard so that I could get more production out of Chewie because we didn't have Han here. And otherwise, we've got 3PO, we've got Stormtrooper Han. I decided, I was trying to think like, okay, what else can I do to make this better? Ezra was a choice, but then he would steal guard from Luke, and I didn't want that. So in the end, I decided, why not? We'll use Old Ben. So jumped right in. All my guys were faster, so we need to take care of Wampa. If I do my stance shift to get tenacity down on Wampa from Chewie's assist, and then I did a big hit, and it just killed Wampa. So that was nice. I'm able to get some of these debuffs on, and now they'd actually have no way to dispel anything of mine, so Stormtrooper Han's taunt is going to be really effective. Was able to kill Karth in one shot, was able to kill Canderous in the back, and now it's like, well, I'm clearly going to win this match. Can I actually get max banners here? I wasn't really sure. Zalbar is alone at this point, and I was shocked at how easily I was able to take this down. I mean, Stormtrooper Han doesn't do anything other than pump his hand in the air and taunt a little bit. And 3PO doesn't do much either, so I was kind of surprised to see that I got 60 banners there. So I actually cleared this entire top zone with a perfect 180 banners from 3 different fights. In the back, my opponent had put a 5-star negotiator, which was interesting, but not very threatening, to be honest. And then after I finished my attacks there, I needed to drive, so I started driving. I did manage to catch a little bit of the progress. My opponent decided to start attacking again. They beat Padme in one shot, easy enough. They took 2 hits to get through my Night Sisters. They used Geonosians the first time, and after that, they were able to one-shot my General Skywalker. They got a good roll on it because it was like he dropped 6 banners, which means that he had to have stood up from his topple and killed my own General Skywalker without any kind of counters. So pretty good RNG there for my opponent to get 1 extra banner. And if that was the difference maker, I was going to be sad, but I just needed to continue on. So after he had finished his attacks on the top zone, he told me he was going to bed and that he had messed up with Geonosians. And here's my solution to taking on these Jawas. I'm taking Wedge as the leader. He's gear 11. Biggs, who's gear 12. And then I have Han Solo here, who is Relic 7 with all 6 E-mods. And so our goal here, it's undersize. I wanted a little extra offense, so that's why I took Wedge as the lead. And now I'm just, with my first shot, I'm going to take out Scavenger. He wasn't high enough gear to stop me, so just took him out. Now Scavenger's not here. He's not putting thermal detonators on any of my characters, so now I can just butcher, I can slaughter Jawas the way, just like if I was an Imperial, even though I'm a rebel, or at least these characters are, and they can't do anything. So poor hapless Jawas that I don't really care too much about, frankly. I can't wait till we start getting Mandalorian content and we can start disintegrating the filthy creatures. So that'll be great. And I did get an undersized win, so that means that I got the feat. That's wonderful. Gotta keep getting that. Need 12 more at this point, so we'll continue working. And I did go back apparently and look at my other feats for some reason, but need to jump right back into this match here. And so all we have left are fleets and Padme. Now, after taking out that front zone with a strong Grievous squad, Darth Revan squad, and then seeing Padme in the back, my initial inclination was to think that my opponent had put so many teams on offense or on defense that he wouldn't be able to clear me. But after I took out that top zone, I realized that really he'd only put 3 good teams on defense on the entire board, unless you count the Negotiator, which is also not that strong at 5 stars. And so, it was kind of a paper defense, but it tricks a lot of people into using their Padme counters so that they can't actually kill her in the back, which is wise. And honestly, that's what happened to me. I just had no choice. I needed to take Padme out, or rather Darth Revan out, with my own Darth Revan, and so I didn't really have any other options except that I was thinking about it, looking at my roster. I'm like, well, can I make Commander Luke, like, take one character out or something? I didn't even have Nihilus available, to maybe last out some kind of, annihilate strategy or scheme. And so what I ended up doing, though, after flipping through my roster, I realized that I still had Nest, and on top of that, I had Nest and I had Hoda, and I had Qi'ra, and I had like everyone. I even had Watt if I needed it. And so that's always been in the back of my mind. I've always wanted to kill a max Padme squad with Nest, and this was my opportunity. So I did ring on my speed dial. I have certain people I call, or I am, whatever you want to call it. And Clash from the Scoundrel server is definitely one of the top numbers on that list. I said, I was asking him questions about how to beat Padme, and he basically said, you can just auto it, probably. After he looked at my stats, Anakin's potency has to be below a certain number compared to my tenacity. And I was like, so do I just use basics? And he said, well, unless you know what you're doing. And I was like, I'll just use basics. So, I was optimistic going into this fight, and there wasn't 3PO here, so I didn't have to worry about getting that crazy debuff so that I couldn't counter or anything. I could just jump into the fight and start hitting things, and more like I'll start getting hit, and then I'll be able to do counters. So you want Qi'ra lead to be able to give all the various buffs a leader can give. Specifically, Qi'ra is really great with Nest. And then I did put Watt and Hermit Yoda in there. Clash told me that I didn't need Watt unless I didn't care about banners. I decided I just wanted to make sure I got the win, or at least give myself the best chance. And so Watt went. I put the weapons tech on to Nest, and in other circumstances I would put the taunting tech onto her so that she would dispel all of the 3PO debuffs that could happen every time she got a turn. But didn't need to do that. I had enough potency, and there's no 3PO here. So after that, Hermit Yoda puts his master's training onto Nest, so she hits harder, she has higher tenacity. And now our goal here, we're countering every time that they hit us, or at least we're trying to. And then when we get a turn, normally our counter is just going on to General Kenobi, but when it's our turn to hit, then we can actually choose our target, and the goal is to take out Jedi Knight Anakin as fast as we can. And you guys can watch the crits go up. So Nest gains 2% crit damage every time there's a buff that expires, I believe, or maybe it's just a buff that exists. I forget exactly what verbiage. And so every time she hits, she's going to do a little more damage. And Padme squads especially, like, everyone's getting these huge stacks of protection all the time. So watch her damage as she's ramping up. It's not very impressive against General Kenobi, just because I'm not doing crits to him as often. I do get a crit in here at some point against him, though. And you want to take out, after you take out Jedi Knight Anakin, you want to take out Padme, because Padme, really, if you can take her out, you can find a way to beat the rest of the squad. They're all strong characters, but I could slowly over time chip away at this squad, I'm sure. So, we want a one-shot, though. We can't afford another 20 banners. I got lucky that my Night Sisters held one. I can't let that go, that advantage, so kill Padme. Now we want to take out Kenobi, because he's taunting and annoying. And now we can take out the Togrutas in any order we want. And Nest is now doing well over 100,000 damage every hit. 107k there, and 113 against Shakti, and then another 107. So ended up with 51 banners because I lost 3 people, but I did get the win against really strong meta team. And you see that I took a screenshot because, I mean, if you're gonna beat a max Padme squad with Nest and some cheese, you sure as hell better brag about it. So we got the win there, and I was after thinking about it, I was pretty sure my opponent was going to be able to full clear me. So I needed to get a really good score on fleet as well if possible. However, I wanted to also make sure that I was being, I don't know if the word is responsible, or, you don't want to take too little. It's great if you can undersize, that's wonderful, and get a few extra banners, but you need to make sure you have enough resources to actually win the battle. And so when I see people only take 3 ships and they're not super desperate, it just seems to me a little reckless. So as per usual, we're just starting our normal routine, and we shoot Anakin, we try to get him below 40% health or thereabouts, and then the turn order is all weird because their negotiator is significantly slower because it's only 5 stars, and so I'm getting reinforcements in faster, and we're it's working okay. Ahsoka did her heal on herself so that she didn't just get taken out, and then here we're just trying to wait out Anakin's buff, which now it's gone, so we can actually take him out. We're gonna put our own buff on there so that he can't in turn take us out. And I'm just hoping that I'm gonna be able to get an AoE from my Anakin before he goes, and I can take him out with my AoE. However, they did get days on my squad, and everything's looking actually a little bit grim at this point. Luckily, Poe is amazing, and he just comes in, heals everyone, and now we just have to take out these remaining ships. So we took out Anakin. He's the huge one. If you can take him out, you could probably finish this fleet off with a secondary fleet, though again, we want to max banners here, not subtract 20 from the total. So Ahsoka came in, take her out right away because she's the other huge damage dealer, and now we're just trying to maximize banners. I thought my AoE was going to take Ahsoka out. It didn't, and then Anakin had his AoE. It did take her out. And it was good I wasn't live, because I swore quite viciously there when the Y-Wings came in and ruined my banners, but at the same time, still ended up getting 59. Pretty decent score, and after I added everything up, it was exactly, if my opponent got 60 and 60 and 66 on my 3 remaining squads, he would tie me exactly, which is a good spot for me to be in. Those are tough squads to take out with max banners. Jango is, I was sure he was going to be able to take that squad out, but he does steal banners, and so here's my final the final map before his attacks, and now I went to bed, woke up, he attacked, and I ended up winning by 9 banners. So hooray for me. Wonderful kills by my opponent. Frankly, he did a great job. He cleared me where the other past 2 opponents hadn't, and here's just some screenshots of my squads. Not anything too interesting other than that the Night Sisters actually, they got me a defend here, and that actually ended up winning me the match. They took out Geonosians, so that was nice. And then otherwise, everything else got one shot, so kudos to my opponent. These are all tough teams to be super efficient in, but he did one-shot them, and there's, that's pretty awesome. My fleet, it looks like maybe gave him a little bit of trouble. He had Malevolence, so I know it's not the easiest team to beat Falcon, even though it's consistent. Yeah, ended up with the win here. It was the finals, so that meant that I won the whole group, which is great. I'm at 6-0. Really, all I need is 2 more wins, and I'll probably make Kyber, though, of course, I'm going to be trying for more than that. And, after all of that is said and done, after we got our payouts with banners and everything, you can see how close I am to a Rhodium League. And, if there's a couple feats that I could do that would get me really close, but I'm not going to do that. I actually don't think I could actually get into a Rhodium even if I tried, but I am very close. And, I've gotten all the feats so far, and, I'm actually, once I get that undersize win, once I get 10 more undersize wins, I'll be right there in the mix to potentially threaten for, a top something rank. So we'll just see how it goes. I'm really enjoying this full retard defense. It's been a lot of fun, so we'll probably end up doing it, or at least some version of it, next week as well, though we will see. Keep you guys updated. Depends on what my opponent does as well and what their tendencies are. So anyways, folks, I'm going to leave you here. So thank you so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.